Hello. The Arrell Graduate Scholarship is $50,000 Canadian annually. That is over $16,000 Canadian a semester for 6 semesters if you're a master's student, and 12 semesters if you're a PhD. Well-funded researchers come to AFI. We train them to become future generation of leaders in food systems transformation. I hope I got your attention. My name is Gina Rex. I'm the education lead with the Arrell Food Institute. And I want to thank you for joining the information session on the Arrell Food Institute Scholarship Program. This will be recorded, and you can put your questions in the Q&A as the session is going on, but the Q&A session is actually going to be towards the end of the hour. Today, we'll be covering 3 things: the Arrell Food Scholar Program, the components of it. You'll get a chance to hear from 2 of our current Arrell Food Institute scholars about their experience in applying and their experience as Arrell Scholars. And then we'll also be joined by an awards officer within the Office of Postgraduate Studies who will talk about the application process. Sorry, I'm just going to scare him. So first, I want to talk a little bit about the Arrell Food Institute. It began in 2017 with a generous gift from the Arrell Family Foundation. From that point on, AFI has existed to conduct research, to train the next generation of food leaders, and to shape social, political, industrial, and government decisions by bringing people together to discuss food and agriculture. As a part of this gift agreement, the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies and the Arrell Food Institute award 4 to 6 new scholarships each year to graduate students from across the globe. What are we looking for? As we talk about this program moving forward, we're looking for scholars who are academically outstanding, who are committed to ensuring future generations are well-fed, diets are nutritious and equitable, and agriculture is sustainable, and students who are committed to community engagement, to looking at the food system from a broader perspective. When you, as an Arrell Scholar, you will participate in the program. You'll complete University 60/50, which is a 2-semester course I'll talk about in a little bit. You'll do applied learning opportunities to connect you with industry and non-academic partners in the agri-food sector. And you'll also be given opportunities to develop foundational skills in communication, critical thinking, and collaboration, as well as opportunities to network and to be mentored. The University 60/50 course is the first thing you'll do when you come on campus in the fall of 2024. The design of this course was influenced by the Royal Bank of Canada's 2018 report, Humans Wanted: How Youth Can Thrive in the Age of Disruption. In this course, you will work in groups of interdisciplinary students. You will collaborate with NGOs, government agencies, or industry businesses on a challenge in the agri-food sector that they are experiencing. And then through this process, you will learn and practice communication skills, collaboration, critical thinking by working across the silos, so getting outside of your lab. It is a 2-semester, 1-credit course. In the past, we've worked with several community partners. We have up to over 20, 25 community partners. Last year's, or the year before last year's partners, so the 2021-2022 community partners, we worked with a few that are here on the screen: De La Mer Fresh Fish Market, which is based in Toronto. Our students worked on sustainable packaging solutions for their market. The Goodleaf Vertical Farm, which is a Canadian vertical farm. Students worked on helping Goodleaf around their environmental efforts to remain sustainable and competitive in the larger North American market. So those are just a few of the examples of partners and partnerships that we've had in the past. During this group work, you will connect with industry partners, which will help you learn about other players in the agri-food sector outside of your research. This has led to future employment for some of our students and mentorship. As an Arrell Scholar, you will get the opportunity to connect to government and thought leaders. This is a photo from last fall of our Arrell Scholars and some other students in the AFI graduate student committee or community meeting with David Nabarro, the special envoy on COVID-19 for the World Health Organization. This was at the Maple Leaf Center for Food Security in Toronto last fall. So you get the opportunity to sit and talk to thought leaders because of our affiliation with World Health Organization, UN Food Security, FAO. Our director, Evan Fraser, has lots of context. And so these opportunities come to Arrell Scholars and to other students in the AFI graduate community. This is another example where some of our AFI scholars sat with our members of parliament at a roundtable discussion at the university on local food insecurity. So this gives you the chance to talk to leaders and to they're very interested and keen to speak to future leaders. So position yourself well. As AFI scholars, you will participate in events and trainings. This is an example here. This is a picture here of our students working on a strategic communications training that we held together in the fall of 2022. This past fall, we had a powerful presentations workshop where we invited an external person to come in and do a 3-hour workshop on how to present your research to a broader audience. We have science policy writing. We have pitching your research. This next winter, we'll be doing opinion editorial and policy brief writing. So giving students a chance to think about ways that their research can be communicated to the wider ag food sector. You will be given the opportunity to be mentored and to network. This past year, we started a mentorship program where some of our scholars identified their needs for connection in industry in particular. So 5 of our scholars have been paired with an industry mentor and who further support their goals in career, for jobs, post graduation. Many of our scholars are international. So some of those meetings are spent just trying to figure out what does the agri-food sector look like for industry in Canada, in the province of Ontario. Our AFI chairs and our director, as well as our staff, also provide networking mentorship support for students. As an Arrell Scholar, you'll be given the opportunity to attend annual Arrell Food Summit, which is our flagship event. You will contribute content to the summit and be asked to lead some sessions. You also have the opportunity to participate in other large networking opportunities and conferences. And here just a sample of the few that our scholars have taken advantage of over the last couple of years. Lastly, you'll be given an opportunity to build community, to get to know each other. So it's a very rare opportunity on a campus that you'll be sitting in the room with people. If you're in plant agriculture and you are going to be sitting across from somebody who's doing family relations and nutrition. So the idea behind that was, one, the Arrell family wanted an interdisciplinary cohort. So, and I'll talk a little bit about this later, how we recruit, but they also wanted a broad global perspective. So 60% of our scholars are international and 40% are domestic. So we have been very intentional, and most of this is because of the gift agreement dictated that to make our cohort as interdisciplinary as possible and as global as possible. So when we get together, we eat good food and we have fun. Arrell Scholars have been chosen to be the next leaders so that when you leave, you have that international perspective, you have that interdisciplinary perspective, and then hopefully we have created a community of practice so that as an alumni, you are connecting with cohorts from past and your own cohort of scholars. AFI scholar research, there are so many ways to research food. At this point in the presentation, I'd like to introduce 2 of our current scholars, and I'll introduce Tunmise first. And they're going to talk to you a little bit about their research and then their process of applying and what it's been like to be an Arrell Scholar. So I'll let Tunmise introduce himself so he can speak to his past research or his research statement.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Gina. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Yep. Sound great.
Perfect. So my name is Tunmise Ehigbor, and I'm from Nigeria. And I'm presently in the second year of my master's program here at the University of Guelph in the Department of Animal Biosciences. So my research is focused on offering edible enrichment materials to laying hens housed in enriched colonies. So what we are trying to do is to promote the welfare of these birds because we know egg is a sustainable protein and it's also very involved in the food system. So my research would help to lead to better welfare for birds and also more production of eggs. So just to talk about some of the things I would like to share about my application process, I would say you should ensure that your potential research fits in with the vision of the Arrell Food Institute and also overlaps with what your potential advisor is working on. So before you choose an advisor, you can also like do your own checks. You can do your background check, look at what they've been working on over time, and also try to look for an overlap between what they do and how that relates to the vision of the Arrell Food Institute. And you can also come up with your own research ideas and propose it to them. Just make sure you are solving like a real problem, because my research is also solving a real problem. It would help to address feather pecking and laying hens, which is a big problem faced not just in Canada, but also in Nigeria and in different parts of the world in laying hens. So just try to be innovative with your research ideas. You can also propose it to your advisor, as I said. And for people who haven't had the chance to engage in community service, because I know that is a very important aspect of the Arrell Food Institute's scholarship application, you can also volunteer to gain more experience. Personally, I love to volunteer. And presently, I volunteer with the Animal Welfare Foundation of Canada. But so whether it's paid or unpaid, just make sure you volunteer and gain more experience, because that's very good and it really improves your profile and your application. And another thing I would like to share is what if you make it to the interview phase, make sure you have good network and make sure you have a quiet background so you can listen to the committee well and answer their questions. And for some of the benefits of being an Arrell Scholar so far, it has been fantastic. Like it has been really great. And from the University 50 course Gina spoke about earlier, like that course was great. I got to work with other scholars as well. I even got to learn how to analyze qualitative data, because in my field we use mostly quantitative data. But from my experience with the University 6050 course, I was able to work with different scholars from different countries and gain a unique perspective. I was also able to learn how to analyze qualitative data, a skill I didn't even had before taking that course. And it has been really useful for me so far. Also, you get to build meaningful connections and you build long-lasting networks. For example, due to my connections with the Arrell Food Institute, at the just past Royal Winter Fair, I met with the Minister of Agriculture, Lisa Thompson of Ontario, and also we also met David Nebaro a few months ago. So you get to really meet people and you get to ask them questions. So you don't just meet them and take pictures. You also get to ask the questions that are bugging you. And because the Arrell Food Institute scholarship is so generous, you'll be able to also face your research fully and like not be worried about like financial issues and stuff like that. So yeah, it has been really great and it has been really good. So I'll hang around and I'll look forward to your questions if you have some. So I can let Jessica go next. So.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica, and I'm an Arrell Scholar from the 2020 cohort. I'm a PhD candidate in the Integrative Biology department here at the University of Guelph. My research project focused on the biodiversity of insects. And how is this related to food systems? Well, agriculture has a major impact on insects biodiversity. So I focus on understanding how different management strategies influence the biodiversity of insects and the impact it has for food production. So I mostly focus on data analysis. So I wanted to highlight that the scholarship is available for a broad topics. So you don't need to have hands-on with animals, let's say, or with agriculture for getting this scholarship. In my case, I do data analysis, and of course there is a connection with food systems, but I don't, for example, I don't have field work. Most of my work is just bioinformatics. So from my experience, I would like to highlight, and adding on what Faith was sharing with you, that the most important step for me was finding my supervisor. Once you find a supervisor and you devote enough time to work on the proposal, you have higher chances of success. Why this? Because you can have a more polished and proposal, where if you have comments and edits from your supervisor, that means you have higher chances of passing, let's say, to the interview round. And so for me, it was critical to discuss with my supervisor the research project, and we found that connection on how that project could align with the vision of the Arrell Food Institute. Now, as an international student, I'm originally from Cuba, and English as a second language, I also took a lot of time on editing the English in my proposal. For that, I used resources for language edition, and so my goal was to submit the most polished proposal, and I think that was important in my case. I also think that you have only 2 pages for the proposal, so you need to find good strategies for the writing, so that is concise, but it's also attractive. So let the readers notice your passion about science, your passion about food systems, or biodiversity conservation, like it was in my case. So you need to, that should be noticeable on your proposal. For the interview part, my recommendation is to train yourself into answering questions. For that, you can have like mock interviews. So the more you practice, the better you will feel in the moment. Of course, it can be for a student intimidating to be in front of a panel of professors and knowing that you need to answer a lot of questions. But if you have some practice before, that can help. For me, I had a mock interview with my supervisor, which she was very supportive and helped me to get ready for that moment. So key elements from my side: find a supervisor that is ready and wants to support you in this application. You have more chances to succeed if you have someone that is supporting you and helping you. And also get ready on public speaking and on answering questions. As an Arrell Scholar, I always say that I found more than colleagues, I found friends and family, because we enjoy so many things together, since the professional side to the personal side. For me, one of the biggest elements as a scholar has been my communication skills. So I have really benefited a lot from having to do public speaking in different scenarios with different group of people. I have benefited from explaining my research to people that is not from the field. So finding ways to make scientific information more understandable for everyone. Also, I have benefited a lot from all the communication workshops and interview, how to prepare for, let's say, media interviews. So that's one of the things I have enjoyed the most. And of course, all the possibility of connecting with people from all over the campus. Otherwise, I would have been only being in my lab and knowing just a few people, but the Arrell Food Institute Scholarship gives you the opportunity to really connect with many students around campus, and also it gives you opportunities that other students don't have, and this becomes the networking and the fact of having such a supportive, amazing group of people that are there for you anytime you need it. So I would be happy to answer any other questions you have, and the best of the luck with your applications. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tunmise and Jessica. I just sent a message to my MENT team saying these students make my job so much easier, because I know that scholars, in particular international scholars or applicants, want to hear from someone who's done it, and Tunmise and Jessica have, and I really appreciate that they both brought up the interview. So I can speak a little bit to that right now, just briefly, because it seems relevant at the time. Your application, if you are shortlisted, you will be given the opportunity to have an interview. On that interview committee are representatives from across the 7 colleges at the University of Guelph, and 2 representatives from AFI. So the selection committee is narrowed down a little bit. So the applications go through a review where the 7 college associate dean of research chooses the shortlist for the interviews, and then the interviews are representatives, I think 2 or 3 of the colleges, and then 2 representatives from AFI. So all that to say, it can be rather intimidating. It is virtual, and you don't have a whole lot of time to make your mark. So I cannot impress more on what the 2 of our scholars spoke to. Make sure your internet connectivity is at the best it can be, and practice. Become as polished as you can. So I'm really appreciative that they both brought that up. And then another thing I wanted to pull up from what Tunmise said was, if your application is strong academically, but you might be, and you think your mission statement is, your research motivation is spot on, direct for AFI's mission, we are still looking for those students who are community engaged, who have done something outside of their lab. And so volunteering, that is a great way to show that you have spent time outside of your lab looking at the bigger picture. I think the other piece that Jessica or Tunmise said that was really important was working with your supervisor. That is the first thing you need to do before you even consider applying for graduate or Arrell Scholarship, is to find a University of Guelph supervisor that will work with you on your application. That's key. So thank you so much to both of you for spending the time here today. I mentioned a little bit earlier how wide the net is for scholarships. For scholars here, we have students represented across all 7 colleges and 13 departments at the University of Guelph. So we currently have a cohort of 15 scholars who are studying right now, and 14 alumni. So we're getting up there to 30 total. And yes, they're across all of these departments. So as Faith mentioned, or I'm sorry, Tunmise mentioned, he's in animal biosciences, working on the welfare of laying hens. We also have, go back a slide, like one of our students, Malika, is working in food science, on food fraud and fingerprinting techniques. We've had engineering students working on artificial intelligent robotic harvesters. So it's just, there's a lot that we do welcome for applications. At this time, I think I've covered everything. I'd like to move on to introducing a representative from the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, so an awards officer, and they are going to speak to the application itself and the process that you would go through to apply.
Thanks, Jana. My name is Sarah, and like Jana said, I'm one of the awards officers in the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, and I'm just going to talk to you quickly today about the award from our side of things. So to be eligible to apply for an Arrell Scholarship, you must be entering a graduate program in the fall 2024 semester. Your admission average must be an A- admission average. So if you're an international applicant, you can confirm your admission average eligibility by reviewing our website's international credentials page. Both domestic and international students are welcome to reach out to your proposed department's graduate program assistant for additional information on your admission average if you'd like, or you can contact our OGPS graduate admission specialists. And finally, your research must align with the vision of the Arrell Food Institute. If we can go to the next slide.
Sorry.
Okay, so now we'll talk a bit about the selection criteria for the award. So the selection criteria that will be used to evaluate our applicants will consist of academic achievement, relevance of your proposed research and personal motivations to the vision of the Arrell Food Institute, and demonstration of your commitment to public engagement as evidenced by your CV. So once applications have been reviewed, the Arrell Food Institute will compose a short list of candidates that they will then interview for further evaluation. And we'll just go into the next slide. So again, as Jana mentioned at the start of the presentation, the funding from this award is valued at $50,000 per year for up to 2 years for master's students and $50,000 per year for up to 4 years for doctoral students. The funding will be applied to each recipient student account in 3 equal installments per year, per year for the duration of the award. And if we can go into the next slide, we'll talk about the application process. So there are a few steps to the application process, and we're going to recommend that you carefully review the application process as it's listed on our website to ensure that you followed all of the required steps to apply. You'll need to submit an application for graduate studies at the University of Guelph with a plan of research that's compatible with the AFI's vision. And then you'll need to select a prospective advisor that can provide you with a letter of support for your Arrell application. And then you'll need to complete an application for an Arrell Scholarship by following all of the steps that are outlined again on our website. And if we go on to the next slide, in a complete application package, you'll be including a statement of your research interests and your personal motivations, as well as a current CV and a letter of support from your prospective advisor. So this letter from your prospective advisor will also confirm to our office that you'll be accepted into a graduate program at the University of Guelph. Your Arrell application will automatically be sending an email to your proposed advisor requesting their response. And your statement of research interests and personal motivations must be a maximum of 2 pages long, as Jessica mentioned earlier, with references not included. And then if we go on to the next page, some of the important dates that we'd like you to consider when thinking about, planning for your future application. You'll need to submit an application for graduate studies at the University of Guelph by midnight on the 21st of February. You must have also started an Arrell application and confirmed your email address by midnight on the 21st of February as well. And your prospective advisor will then get an email to confirm their email address and your Arrell submission. And this will need to be completed by them before the 28th of February. And feel free to remind them of this deadline as well. Then you'll have until midnight on the 3rd of March to complete your Arrell application and submit your final application to our office. And that's it from me.
So can I just go back for a second? So they have to, so the graduate application, midnight, February 21st?
Yes.
12:01, okay. And then could you again, just tell me again, the 28th, you then mentioned the 28th for
Yep. So
their
at one
advisor.
point, they'll be going in and completing different information in the application form online. And there will be a section for them to indicate an advisor that they're going to be, or that they'd like to be studying with. and they'll put in their advisor's email address, which will send an email over to that advisor.
Okay.
And that advisor will confirm their support of the student. And that needs to happen. The advisor needs to complete that step before the 28th of February.
Okay. Okay. And that's all listed on your website, right?
Yes,
All of,
it
I
should
mean,
be.
it is a lot, like it's
A lot.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a very intense application process. So I'm really appreciative that your office is here today, because I think those type of questions are probably the ones that students have questions about mostly, especially if it's an
Absolutely.
international. Yeah. So.
Yep. And if there's any additional questions, feel free to send our office an email and we will do our best to get back to you in a timely manner.
Okay. All right. At this point, yeah. So so the graduate awards officers are available, and the website is. I'm sorry, the email is here on this last slide. So questions about your graduate student application or entrance requirements, your eligibility, those can be directed to the awards officers. And so that's the email there. Anything you have related to the Arrell Food Institute, those can be related to me. And I'm sure I can speak for Jessica and Tunmise. If you have specific questions, maybe if you're somebody who's in animal bioscience and you have a question about your research statement, I'm certain that they would be happy to answer those questions. So I can provide their email for you, or you can look at the AFI website, and all of our scholars are listed under the scholarship page, and you can reach out to them directly. I know any of our scholars would be happy to speak to potential applicants to answer those questions. So I'm going to spend just a minute looking at the Q&A to see if there's anything I can answer. And so, can the students conduct their research on their local problems? Absolutely. Your research statement does not, or motivation statement does not have to be about a Canadian agricultural or food problem. We have a current scholar who's working in geography, who's looking at Bangladesh, his home country, the climate solutions in Bangladesh as a coastal country. So we're looking at an international food system transformation. So a lot of these questions too, and I'll say this, I'm just going to reiterate this. If you are a prospective student in either a master's or PhD from a particular program, the question is, in this case, is it possible to ask a prospective supervisor to take a look at my research proposal? I think what Jessica said is something that we really need to focus on here. You need to reach out and find an advisor first. And then, like Jessica said, once her advisor agreed to support her research and have her in the lab, then they work together on the application and on the proposal. Because the Arrell Food Institute Scholarship is to be used as faculty on the campus of the University of Guelph as a recruitment tool. So any of our scholars have collaborated with their advisor to make sure that the proposal is polished, as Jessica said, because it's to their advantage, obviously, to have an Arrell Scholar in their lab. Will the scholarship program cover the compulsory application fee? No. And then another question here about trying to connect with a couple of people in Department of Animal Biosciences. It can be challenging to connect with a faculty advisor. I would suggest reaching out to individual programs. So if you're looking at the Animal Bioscience program, try to find the graduate program coordinator within the Animal Bioscience and the two faculty members or three faculty members that you think your research is most aligned to. Chemical engineering participate in CFI scholarship? Yes, we haven't had a chemical engineer yet. We have had a couple of engineers. Going back to what Tunmise said, if your motivation research statement in 2 pages can convince the Arrell Food Institute that it fits with our mission to, around food and agriculture and climate change, yes, we would not say no to anybody to apply. No, the Arrell Scholarship does not cover the University of Guelph application fee, and there is no application fee waiver. The supervisor must be from the University of Guelph for the scholarship. No, you cannot be in your final year of your master's program. Oh, wait, can one in his final year of his master's program apply for the PhD program? Absolutely, yes. Something to mention, it's an entrance scholarship. You must be starting your studies in the fall of 2024. So if you're completing your master's in the spring or summer of July 2024, and you're entering in and you've been accepted in the University of Guelph in a PhD program, and you have an advisor, yes, you can apply for the Arrell Scholarship. Do you need a research proposal in hand before reaching out to a potential supervisor? Jessica, if you're still on, would you mind answering that one based on your experience with your advisor?
Sure. No, I didn't have the research proposal when I reached out to my supervisor. I just so I actually contact many potential supervisors in the department, considering what they are working on and my interests. And then I had the opportunity to have an interview with some of them. And once my formal supervisor accepted me in the had a space for me to work with her, then we started working in the research proposal for the Arrell Scholarship. So I don't think there is only one way of doing it. Either you can contact the supervisor saying, I'm interested in doing this. Would you be interested in supporting me? Or you can contact the supervisor and say, like, do you have any project I can work on with you? So yeah, everyone's experiences are different, but I don't think there is only one way of doing it.
Thanks, Jessica. And Tunmise, could you talk a little bit about your experience, how you found Dr. Wadowski?
Of course. Yeah, so mine was also similar to Jessica's. I had to reach out to her for a master's position in a lab. Then we had an interview, a 1 hour interview, because it was also really long. And yeah, we had to prepare a proposal together. Then I felt like, oh, this proposal really fits with the vision of the Arrell Food Institute too, even if it also solves problem in the egg industry in Canada. So yeah, so it was almost the same with Jessica. But there's no, as she said, there's no one way to go about it. If you have a project in mind, when you email a supervisor, you can also be like, oh, I looked through your profile and I saw you work in this area. And I saw one of your works, and I think this could be a next step for this particular project, and it fits with Arrell vision and stuff like that. So yeah, so there's no one way to go about it. You can either reach out to your supervisor first, like I did, then you tell him or her about the scholarship, then you work on a proposal together, or if you even have something in mind, you can also state that in your email when you first reach out to them. So yeah.
Great. Thanks, Tunmise. It is the question that I get more than any other question is, how do I get a supervisor? Because that is needed. You have to have yourself connected to an advisor who is going to sponsor you in their lab. Because that advisor, as Sarah from the Office of Graduate Postdoctoral Studies indicated, will receive an email once you fill out your graduate application that will alert them. And then they also have to accept you and then write a letter on your behalf. So it's number one. And I acknowledge that it can be very challenging to get responses. And some of those tips that Jessica and Tunmise had hopefully will be helpful for you. Yeah, you must have, I'm getting lots of questions. Have I been able to get a supervisor from the University of Guelph? Is it very important? It's essential. It's the first step. Sarah, could you speak to when will the application website be opened? Is it now?
It should be open now, yes. So I think if you go on our website and just look for the Arrell Scholarship page, you should have a link in the application deadlines and how to apply, there should be a link to the Arrell Scholarship application. And I think you should be able to go in and start entering in your information now if you'd like.
Thank you. Is there an age limit to apply? No, there is no age limit. Is the motivation research statement and proposal the same? Yes. Is the $50,000 for tuition fee or any university semester fees? The $50,000 is for all of your fees. I guess, yeah, if there's any, I don't know if Tunmise or Jessica want to speak to how the fees work. I don't, I'm not a recipient of the scholarship, so maybe it'd be helpful if they give a little bit of insight there.
Yeah, so the installments, so the 50,000 are divided in 3 installments for each semester: the fall, the winter, and the summer semester. You get around 16,000, and then from that, your tuitions and fees are deducted. Then the difference is what is then deposited in your bank account, and that's your stipend for the semester. So you get one payment at the beginning of the semester, and that's that's your payment for that semester. If you're doing teaching assistantship, then you get extra funding for that work. But basically, yeah, you get 3 payments in the year. After tuitions and fees are deducted. I also wanted to take the chance, because I saw many questions on how to find a supervisor. I think that's, and someone that has reached some professors and having got an answer. I think it's very important when sending an email to potential supervisors is to include your CV. If you are an international student, it would be good to include your transcripts if you have them translated to English. I found that was important. In my case, I always send my CV and my transcripts, so the professor who is reading the email can see your grades in your undergrad, your experiences, any publication, if you have already worked in a research group. So, and another important thing, don't generate your email with ChatGPT. Write a real email. I think lately it's being more used by students, like to generate a very wordy and formal email using artificial intelligence, but I think professors really don't like that. So write something real, personal, and also not that long. Don't tell your whole story in the email. We are talking about professors that are very busy with attending students, giving lectures, participating in thesis defenses. So keep it short and nice, personal, and include some evidence of what have you done and how you can contribute to the lab.
Sorry, can I add a little bit to that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, just like Jessica said, I also said it in last year's info session. When you have done something in the past, it would be nice to like add links of your past work to your CV so they can easily trace it and see that, oh, this is the proof of what you have done or what I have done. That's very important. And yeah, as you said, you don't have to make your email too wordy. You don't have to make it too long because professors are busy, and you must also understand that they are humans too. And for people that are international students, because I also did this during my period, try to check the time difference, because when you send emails within work hours, it tends to increase the likelihood of getting a response. Instead of sending it maybe at night or during the weekends, you may not really get a response. And during the week, professors get a lot of emails, not just from students, but also work-related emails. So I feel if you send emails like during work period, just check the time difference between your country and Canada. Just make sure it's between like 8 a.m. to when school closes, maybe like 4 p.m. So like I feel that way you increase the likelihood of also getting a response. But I know it's a difficult process because professors are very busy. Sometimes you send emails, you don't get a response, but you just have to keep trying and make sure as you said, your CV is there. Make sure your experiences are traceable and verifiable, and your transcripts. If it's in another language, translate it. Make sure everything is there, so the professor can easily go through your application package. So yeah. That's it.
Thanks, Jessica and Tunmise, for the additional information. Just a few more we're going to go through, and I want to position this one, and I'm not sure, Sarah, if someone in your office can answer this, or maybe I can lean on Tunmise and Jessica since they're both international students. So if English is my official language, do I have to submit a proficiency certificate? Or can I have an alternative like a written proof of proficiency from my former academic institution? In terms of scores, so proficiency from English, Sarah, could you field that one?
So I think that's going to depend on the specific requirements for your graduate program. So one of the biggest eligibility criteria that I'm going to kind of reiterate is that you need to be, you need to have applied for and be accepted in, not accepted in, you need to meet the admission requirements for your proposed program. So if I'm not sure off the top of my head if different programs across campus have different proficiency requirements, but you would need to meet those for your proposed program to be eligible to apply for the Arrell Scholarship. So your best bet with this, I think, would excuse me, would be to check in with your graduate program assistant for the proposed program that you're looking for.
Great. So yeah, so a couple things. Number one, find a supervisor. Can't say that enough. And strategies, both Tunmise and Jessica have given us a lot. Two, if you don't know, the graduate program coordinator in the department you are wanting to apply to should know. So that's the other place to go if you have questions about eligibility, English proficiency, even transfer of grade. So an A-, you have to have an A-. What does that mean for your transcript coming from Nigeria, for example? So those are questions that can be answered by the graduate program coordinator in the department you're applying to. Okay, Jessica's taking that one. Good. Is there anything that is more weighted in the application? Grades, previous research, or tests like the GRE could boost the profile? Sarah? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to back up. Do you know, Sarah, if anything's more weighted in the application?
I'm going to have to double check the weighting for everything. If you give me a couple quick minutes, I can confirm.
Okay. And we can also follow up with that one as well. That's a really good question. That might be up. I think I've answered a lot of these that have come through, and I can always follow. So what I want to say before we leave, a couple of things. Thank you so much for joining. We had a lot of interest, so I know that many people are interested in the application. So good luck. The video, this has been recorded, so it will be on our website by the end of the week. So you can, if you need to go back and hear what Jessica said or something about this or that, that'll be available as a recording on the AFI website under scholarship. And we also have someone from our events team who is typing out all of these questions, and we will have responses. So sort of like a little fax, a Q&A fax that I will also have posted on our website probably early next week at the latest. And in terms of the weighting, I don't know, Sarah, have you had anything there yet? Otherwise, we can follow up.
So I don't see anything specific pertaining to weighting any of the different eligibility criteria according to like a specific percentage. I think it's a full application package that's evaluated.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Thanks for backing that up. Yep, we look at I know so I don't see the graduate student application. That's something that Arrell Food Institute doesn't have access to. That comes through the portal with the Office of Graduate Studies. We do, however, see the Arrell application. So it's your CV, your 2-page research motivation statement, and then your supervisor's letter. So those are the 3 things. And we, as the Arrell Food Institute, we weigh those things equally, I guess. So again, reiterating how important it is that you have a supportive supervisor who's collaborating on this proposal with you. That's that. I think it's good. I'm going to Okay, there is a question here for Tunmise. Being from Nigeria, did you have to write the IELTS?
So for me, being from Nigeria, I did not have to write the IELTS. So the first thing I did was to check the specific program requirements for the Department of Animal Biosciences. And when I checked it, and I think there should be a section where you can check if you need to provide any English language proficiency or things like that. And it wasn't required for me as an applicant from Nigeria, and as an applicant that graduated from the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. So yeah, I didn't submit any English language proficiency. So yeah, so you just have to look at the program required, because different programs might have different requirements, but they are all on the school website. I'm very sure about that. So once you go to the school website, just search for your program and check the requirements. Then you should be able to see if you need to provide write IELTS or provide IELTS results or TOEFL or anything like that. So yeah, well, I didn't have to provide it. I did not have to provide it.
Thanks, Tunmise. Okay, I am going to say goodbye for now, but encourage you to reach out to either myself or the graduate school email there for any other questions you might have. But I wanted to thank you all for, well, thank those of you who participated, presented with me, Tunmise, Jessica, and Sarah. Thank the events team for helping me put this on. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Good luck.